White parents abandon black triplets at birth. 18 years later, their fate shocks everyone. 18 years ago, in a small hospital in the heart of Charleston, South Carolina, 3 children were born into a tragic circumstance that would later leave a profound mark on their lives. Unlike other children, these 3 kids carried a different story from the moment they were born. A boy and 2 girls with skin darker than their parents entered this world to the astonishment and deep shock of those who gave birth to them. Their parents, Thomas and Elizabeth Warren, were people who had a peaceful and stable life. They had been looking forward to the day their first child was born, but when those 3 children appeared, all the expectations and dreams they had nurtured were suddenly shattered. Being parents is not an easy challenge, but for them, the difference in skin color of the children is something they cannot accept. The surprised looks, the gossip of society, and the shame they faced made Thomas and Elizabeth unable to stand firm. The feeling of disappointment and pain enveloped them, and finally, in a heart-wrenching decision, they chose to give up their right to be parents. Without any explanation, without an emotional meeting or any sharing, they simply left the 3 children in a cold hospital room. They abandoned their children, leaving them to face a world full of loneliness and uncertainty from the moment they were born. That was an unforgettable decision, a decision that would haunt all 3 children for the rest of their lives. The 3 children do not understand the reason why they were abandoned. As young children, they cannot understand the difference between themselves and other children. They cannot understand why the love from their parents does not come to them. Every day that passes, the 3 children grow up in emotional deprivation, in pains they cannot express in words. The strange gazes of those around them made them feel lost, as if they did not belong to this world. Each question in their minds about why they were abandoned, each night they silently cried from the feeling of loneliness. All of these things created a deeply tragic and complex inner struggle. Although the 3 children do not speak out, deep in their hearts, there is a strong desire to be loved and accepted. They want to know why the people they trusted and loved left them so abruptly and indifferently. This wound is not easily healed, and from innocent children, they are forced to learn how to face a life without the protection of parents, without the support of family. And from there, each child embarks on a journey to find their own reason and love. Their story begins with tears, but it will not end there. The torment, the unanswered questions, and the journey to seek the truth will lead the 3 children to unexpected encounters and astonishing discoveries. All 3 will find pieces not only to heal the wounds in their souls, but also to affirm their place in this vast world. The decision of Thomas and Elizabeth Warren was a shock, not only to their family, but also to the innocent newborns. Signing the parental rights termination papers, never returning to visit or acknowledge their children, was perhaps one of the most painful decisions they ever made. Not because they don't love their children, but because they can't face the differences that the children carry within them. Their rejection, for whatever reason, has deprived the children of their basic rights, the right to be loved and protected. After signing the papers, Thomas and Elizabeth left the hospital without looking back, leaving no trace of care or affection. They left, leaving 3 children who did not understand why they were abandoned, not knowing what they had done wrong to deserve this coldness. For Thomas and Elizabeth, everything seemed like a necessary decision, but for the 3 children, it was a brutal betrayal, a shattering of their dreams of family love. The scene in the hospital that day was unforgettable. 3 children lay in the nursery room, their clear eyes gazing towards the door, seemingly waiting for something that would never come. The nurses, despite doing their utmost to care for and comfort, still cannot replace the love of parents. They try to smile, talk to the children, but in the eyes of those 3 kids, there's a deep emptiness, a sense of alienation that cannot be filled by someone else's care. The absence of parental affection has made the children feel that they do not belong here, that they do not belong in this world. Each child, no matter how small, can feel the difference and the lack of love. Especially when night falls, when the hospital becomes silent, the 3 children feel lonelier than ever. Although they could not express their thoughts, in the heart of each child, one question always echoed: why? Why did they abandon us? Silent tears fall on the children's pillows, but there is no one to dry them, no one to comfort them. That is the lingering pain that cannot be soothed, the feeling of being left behind in a vast world that they cannot comprehend. Nevertheless, in the suffocating and cold atmosphere of the hospital room, the three children found comfort in each other. Although each child had to face their own thoughts and feelings, the friendship and connection between them formed an invisible bond that helped them overcome loneliness. The boy, though just a small child, was always the first to run over when someone cried, comforting his sisters with gentle gestures. Both girls, though unspoken, felt the necessity of comfort and love in those dark times. They looked at each other, and without saying a word, they understood that only by being together could the three children overcome all challenges. Even without the care of their parents, the friendship between the three children has become an invaluable source of strength. They no longer feel completely lonely when they have each other, when they share dreams, sorrows, and hopes together. Under the dim light of the hospital, they became true friends, people who understood each other without needing to say much. The love they had for each other somewhat eased the pain, helping them find meaning in a world that seemed to have no place for them. The friendship between the three children is not just a temporary comfort. It became a solid foundation that helped them form their own thoughts and values. Even though they lived in the absence of parental affection, they learned to love, help, and protect each other naturally and instinctively. In the most difficult circumstances, the three children found warmth in each other's embrace. They didn't have their parents by their side, but they had each other, and that was a bond that no one could take away. The story of the three abandoned children soon spread, like a gentle yet powerful wave, to strangers with open hearts. David and Naomi Turner were among the first to hear that story. A couple struggling with infertility, who had been yearning for a child for many years but had never been fortunate enough to become parents. They have tried every medical method, every conceivable measure, but it seems they still cannot have the child they long for. When they heard about the three abandoned children in the hospital, their hearts could not help but be moved. David, a man with a resilient and empathetic nature, and Naomi, a gentle yet strong woman, could not resist the urge in their hearts when they heard the story of those children. A pain of empathy, a deep understanding of what the three children had gone through, made them no longer hesitate. They decided to meet the children, a decision not easy, but driven by a strong urge of love and the desire to become parents. When the three children met David and Naomi for the first time, everything seemed to stop for a moment. The eyes of the three children, though still small, were filled with hope and fear. They looked at these strangers with wide eyes, but not with suspicion. Rather, it was a searching gaze, seeking comfort and protection that they had long been deprived of. David and Naomi, in their hearts, there was nothing but an abundance of love and a desire to bring a home to the three children. They sat down, not saying much, just silently watching the three children, and then in those eyes, a wordless connection formed. All three children could not express it in words, but they felt the warmth from the people sitting in front of them. Caleb, Chloe, and Nia, names that no one had called them during the dark years, now began to feel a spark of hope. Although their pasts could not be changed, in that moment they knew they were not the unwanted children. Naomi and David Turner, with all their hearts, opened the door to a bright future, where unconditional love would replace the loneliness and pain they had endured. When David and Naomi decided to adopt three children, it was not just a legal decision, but a profound commitment to love and protection. They named the children Caleb, Chloe, and Nia, names associated with a new life, a new hope. They promised to bring these three children a true home, where there would be no more loneliness, no more feeling of abandonment. They will nurture the children with unconditional love, letting them know that no matter how painful the past may be, they still deserve a promising future. However, in the process of getting used to the new family, the three children could not easily overcome the ghosts from the past. Although their new environment is filled with love, they still cannot stop fearing that they will be abandoned once again. This fear is not something they can easily erase, as they grew up with a sense of unworthiness, with the awareness that love is something distant and can be taken away at any moment. Each child, despite their different personalities, carries their own worries. Caleb, with his quiet personality, often doubts himself, keeping all his emotions bottled up, not wanting to show any weakness. Chloe, the mischievous and lively girl, sometimes overreacts when she feels unloved as a way to protect herself. As for Nia, the youngest girl, she always tries to cling to the adults in the family, fearing that if she lets go, everything will slip away. The three children have all learned to protect themselves in different ways because they do not believe that love can last forever. The first few months in the Turner family were a difficult journey, not only for the three children, but also for David and Naomi. They had to learn to be patient, to find every way possible for the children to feel the love without threatening or imposing it. Even though it is a boundless love, it is not easy to replace the deep wounds that the three children have experienced. Each step forward in building the relationship between the new family and the three children is a challenge, but also a precious moment where the wounds in their souls gradually heal. David and Naomi understand that they cannot change the past, but they can create a different future for the three children, a future where love is unconditional, where acceptance and understanding will replace the fears that have haunted the three children since they were very young. Each passing day, the three children gradually learn to trust the love of their new family, even though those first steps are not always easy. But the Turner family never gave up. They understand that love is not just a simple emotion, but a continuous commitment, a constant giving and receiving. And throughout this process, the three children not only found a home, they found themselves, found their confidence and self-worth. The ghosts from the past can no longer overshadow the light in their eyes because they know that no matter what their past was like, they deserve true love. In the loving arms of David and Naomi, Caleb, Chloe, and Nia grew up happily, experiencing years filled with family affection that they had never known before. The love of their adoptive parents has somewhat erased the deep wounds in their hearts, bringing the children out of feelings of loneliness and deprivation. The reunion meals, the cozy evenings spent together, the comforting tight hugs, all of these have created sweet and healthy memories in the lives of the three children. However, as they grew up, questions began to gradually appear in their minds. With each passing year, the three children began to realize that they did not resemble their adoptive parents. They do not resemble Naomi and David in appearance. Their skin, darker than their parents' white skin, is something that no one in the family can hide. Questions about these differences began to arise, and although no one spoke them aloud, the three children started to wonder about their place in the family. Why don't they look like their parents? Why don't they have skin like everyone else? Those questions are not just simple curiosity, but also reflect the complex feelings they are facing as they grow up. Although raised with love, the three children could not completely overlook the differences in appearance between themselves and their adoptive family. Outside that loving home, society has begun to have a significant impact on the children's perceptions. The racial discrimination from society makes the three children feel out of place. The looks, the questions, the comments that they inadvertently overheard from those around them only made them feel more different. They are not just children raised in a family, but also individuals who carry a difference in skin color compared to others in the community. There are times when Chloe, with her dynamic and confident personality, has to face uncomfortable questions from her classmates. Why don't you look like your parents? Or Caleb, who always appears quiet and contemplative, not knowing how to explain his skin color whenever asked about his family. The feeling of alienation and confusion began to envelop the minds of the three children. Although Naomi and David always tried to explain that the love and care they gave them were the most important, that family is not just about physical resemblance, the three children could not help but feel that they did not fully integrate into the surrounding society. They have started to become more aware of racial discrimination, even if it doesn't always show on the surface. Although the foster family always tries to compensate for the shortcomings that society may create, The questions and discrimination still linger in the hearts of the three children. They cannot escape the feeling of being a part of this world, but they always lack something to truly feel integrated and belong. They never thought that one day ethnic differences would become a major challenge in their lives. They grew up in loving care, lacking neither material nor emotional support, but it seemed that in the very society they lived in, they were never truly a part of it. The scrutinizing gazes, the unintentional yet sharp remarks, always seemed to make them feel like outsiders. Caleb, Chloe, and Nia gradually realized that although their foster family loved and cared for them wholeheartedly, society had different standards that they could not change. However, the children cannot deny that these issues are beginning to cause internal conflicts. They don't know how to resolve the conflict between what they feel from their foster families and what society imposes on them. That discrimination is not only a difference in skin color, but also a difference in how others perceive them, how they feel about themselves in a world where standards of appearance are still very clear. Each child struggles within their soul, seeking to accept themselves, but unable to completely escape the feeling of being separated from those around them. On quiet nights, when no one is watching, the three children each have their own thoughts about these things. Chloe would lie in her room, staring at the ceiling, wondering if she would ever feel right with herself. Caleb, in the quiet moments, wonders if he is truly a part of this family. Nia, though younger, had also begun to feel the difference and found herself lonely in the crowd, unable to understand why she was not like other children. These emotions are all hidden deep in their hearts because they do not want to hurt their adoptive parents who have done everything to love and protect them. But deep down, those feelings can never be erased. Internal conflicts began to rise within the three children. They love their new family, but still feel like they can't fully be a part of it. Self-esteem and the search for personal identity are the issues they face every day. Even though their adoptive parents always give them unconditional love, the three children still cannot escape the feeling that they carry a part of the past scar, a part that cannot be healed just by love. Social acceptance, complete integration with the surrounding world, remains a distant dream for them. The feeling of isolation, though not always apparent, always exists, like a shadow in their hearts, not easily erased. The three children began to reassess what they had, what they lacked, and they would have to face in the future. But one thing that never changes is the love that the Turner family has for them. And no matter how many challenges they face, they still know that in the toughest moments, this family will always be the place they return to. As the three children entered adulthood, questions about the past began to clearly emerge in their minds. Even with a new loving family, even though Naomi and David's love and care have sheltered them, Caleb, Chloe, and Nia cannot escape the feeling of emptiness in their hearts. They wanted to know about their biological parents, not only because of the unanswered questions, but also due to a deep yearning. They wanted to understand why they were abandoned, to resolve the profound conflicts within their souls. Although knowing that this search journey is not easy and may bring much pain, the curiosity about one's origins cannot be extinguished. Throughout their growing years, the questions about why their biological parents abandoned them were always present. Although they were raised lovingly by their families, the feeling of being lost and not belonging always made them feel like there was a part of their hearts that had not been healed. They want to know if they did something wrong or simply because they are different. Together, they decided to seek the truth, even though they knew it could bring great pain. The search was not an easy journey. The three children had to face information barriers, vague details, and failures. However, with patience and determination, they finally found traces of their biological parents, Thomas and Elizabeth Warren. After so many years, that name still lingered in their hearts like a great unsolved mystery. They sought out an old address where the Warren family had once lived before leaving, and then, after much effort, they met Thomas and Elizabeth. But the meeting did not go as they had hoped. What they hoped would be an emotional reunion, an opportunity to ask questions, to hear their biological parents explain why they abandoned them. turned out to be a meeting full of painful and disappointing emotions. When facing the three children they had abandoned, Thomas and Elizabeth showed no remorse and even admitted that they never intended to return. Their confession was like a cold shower for the three children, leaving them stunned and unable to comprehend. Thomas and Elizabeth explained that they abandoned their children simply out of fear of being condemned by society. They could not accept having children who were not like them, and they felt ashamed of the difference in skin color. They cannot understand why, just because of that difference, their parents decided to abandon them, even though they did nothing wrong. Those confessions caused the three children such pain that they could not utter a word. They were not mentally prepared for this betrayal. The long years in the care of the Turner family could not erase the pain from the past, but at least they could believe in the love and concern of their adoptive parents. However, when faced with the harsh truth from their biological parents, everything suddenly fell apart. The dreams of a tearful reunion, the hopes for a reasonable explanation for being abandoned, now only remain as an unexplainable emptiness and pain. As children who once lived in a loving foster family, the three children now have to face a harsh reality that is hard to accept. They are not victims of a misunderstanding or circumstances beyond their control, but victims of selfishness and fear. Their biological parents abandoned them just because of their appearance, something that cannot be changed. They feel like the whole world has turned its back on them, and the question remains unanswered. Why? However, although this meeting caused great pain, it was also an important step in the journey to resolve the inner conflicts of the three children. The truth, though painful, is the key for them to begin confronting their past and addressing the lingering pain. The confessions from their biological parents did not weaken them. On the contrary, they made them stronger in accepting themselves. They understand that the past cannot be changed, but they can decide how to live with the truth and take control of their lives. When the three children left the meeting with their biological parents, although their hearts were still filled with pain, they felt as if they had shed part of the burden in their souls. They were no longer the abandoned children lost in the darkness of confusion and pain. They have come to know the truth. Even though it is a bitter truth, it is also a part of themselves. The past may always be a part of them, but it will no longer be a burden. Instead, it will be a lesson for them to grow and become stronger. What they have now is the unconditional love of the Turner family, and that will be the strength to help them move forward. The journey of seeking the truth not only helped the three children understand their past, but also led them to discover something important. Even if they were abandoned, even if they were discriminated against, they still deserve a life full of love, and they can build their own future without letting the past define who they are. After the painful meeting with their biological parents, the three children stood at an important crossroads in their lives. The chaotic emotions, the shock and pain from the confessions relentlessly tormented their minds. But it was in that dark moment that the three children realized something important. Although their past was filled with sorrow and betrayal, the love that their adoptive family had given them was what truly mattered. The love of Naomi and David, although it cannot completely replace the absence of their biological parents, is a great source of encouragement and comfort that helps them stand strong. David and Naomi not only nurtured the three children materially, but also with unconditional, selfless love. They are the father and mother that the three children could never have imagined having, but they are the only ones who can heal the wounds they have endured. The years of growing up under their care taught the three children that family is not a place of shared blood, but a place of love, protection, and unconditional care. Caleb, Chloe, and Nia began to realize that despite their different starting points and the heavy past they carried, it was this love that helped them grow and find happiness. When they felt that love, the three children gradually realized that they were not victims of the past, but individuals with the right to build their own lives. They no longer felt buried in their emotional wounds, but instead felt hope and resilience. Although there are still days when they feel like they don't completely belong anywhere, The love and care of Naomi and David have made them feel like they have a place to return to, a real family. However, the emotional wounds from the past still remain, and it is not easy to heal them. But thanks to the unconditional sacrifices of their adoptive parents, the three children began the healing process. They learned to face themselves, not letting the ghosts of the past influence their emotions and decisions. They learned to love themselves, something they had never thought of before. The encouragement, the evenings spent talking with Naomi and David, and even the silent understanding helped them gradually untie the knots in their souls. They realized that in order to move forward, they needed to accept themselves, no matter how painful the past might be. The healing journey is not always easy. The first few months after the meeting with their biological parents, the three children had to struggle with feelings of disappointment and shame. But when they saw their resilience in difficult times, they realized that they were not victims of anyone. They are strong individuals who can create a new life for themselves. Caleb, Chloe, and Naya began to believe in the power of perseverance and resilience, and they continuously learned from their foster family to rise up and overcome all challenges. Their resilience is not only evident in healing psychological wounds, but also in the success they achieve in academics and sports. Caleb, with his hard work and determination, has become an outstanding student, not only excelling in knowledge, but also being a kind friend who always helps his classmates. Chloe, with her strong personality and confidence, became an outstanding athlete, achieving many proud accomplishments in sports competitions. Nia, despite being the youngest, possesses exceptional perseverance and patience, becoming a shining example of relentless effort. The three children have not only achieved success in their studies, but also in other fields such as sports and community activities. These achievements not only demonstrate their resilience, but also serve as proof that they have overcome significant challenges in life. Their relentless efforts have proven that, despite a painful past, they can still build a better future for themselves. They have become shining examples of courage, the ability to overcome adversity, and a strong desire to live fully with all their might. The Turner family proudly watches their three children grow up not just as beloved kids, but as mature, strong, and independent individuals. Naomi and David see in Caleb, Chloe, and Naya not only people who have overcome the wounds of the past, but also those who can build their lives on the solid foundations that the family has established. They were not just adopted children, but had become an indispensable part of the family, the children they loved and were proud of. Although the three children have somewhat healed the wounds in their hearts, that journey never stops. Each passing day, they continue to learn how to love and accept themselves, not letting the past determine who they are. They learn to walk steadily on their own path, carrying within them the faith and confidence they once lacked. And most importantly, they understand that love cannot always replace everything, but it can help them stand firm and keep moving forward, no matter how the world around them may be. The journey of the three children is a testament to the power of love and resilience, a story of rising from sorrow, seeking the truth, and reaching for a brighter future. The story concludes with a warm gathering scene as the Turner family gathers around the dining table on a night filled with light and laughter. Their meal was not only full of food, but also overflowing with love and sharing. Caleb, Chloe, and Naya sat next to Naomi and David, enveloped by the warmth of family closeness. The smiles on the faces of the three children were not just joy, but also deep gratitude for what they had received. They no longer feel lonely, no longer feel lost. They have a family where they not only find comfort, but also a place to belong. The warm, yellow light in the dining room reflected on their faces, highlighting the strong bond shared by each family member. Caleb, though somewhat quieter, no longer feels the need to hide his emotions. He looked at David, the father who had always watched over and protected him, and then his gaze turned to Naomi, the mother who had shown him what unconditional love was. Chloe, with her confident demeanor, looked around at everyone, her heart full of pride, knowing that she was no longer a homeless child, but a part of a real family, with love and acceptance. Naya, with her innocent smile, was delighted to see her family in this warmth, feeling loved without needing to prove it. Every time the three children looked into their adoptive parents' eyes, they felt profound gratitude. The efforts of Naomi and David, the immeasurable sacrifices, the love and care they give to the three children are not just an unconditional giving, but also a strong commitment, not because they are blood relatives, but because they chose to love and care for the three children when everyone else could easily overlook them. The bond between them is not a connection of blood, but a connection of souls, of people who found each other in the harshest circumstances of life. Although there is no blood relation, the love of the Turner family has transcended all barriers and differences. The three children looked at each other, then turned to look at Naomi and David. A gentle smile full of emotion, as if each child were sending a thank you through their eyes. "Thank you for choosing us," Chloe whispered, as if it were a heartfelt expression from the bottom of her heart. "Thank you for giving us a real family," Caleb added, his voice gentle yet firm, as if expressing everything he felt. Nia, although still young, had eyes and a smile filled with gratitude, a happiness she had never experienced before. Naomi and David looked at the three children with gentle, loving eyes. They didn't need to say anything more, because their eyes spoke volumes. They have done what they promised, bringing the three children a family they have always wished for, not out of responsibility or obligation, but out of love, out of the desire to give love unconditionally. They not only care for the three children materially, but also with love and understanding, helping them regain their faith in life, love, and acceptance. Their family is not just a group of people living under one roof, but a strong, cohesive community where each person is an indispensable and important part. The lives of Caleb, Chloe, and Naya are no longer filled with days of worry and fear. They have built a family where everything is not about giving with the expectation of receiving, but about giving love in a pure and sincere way. They are no longer abandoned children, but mature, confident, and strong individuals who no longer let the past dictate their lives. They have learned that love is not only something that can be received, but also something that can be given. And the bond between them and the Turner family is the clearest proof of that. The love that the Turner family has for the three children is a testament that family is not about bloodlines, but about love, commitment, and mutual acceptance. Their story has gone through painful days, challenges, and difficulties, but it is precisely in those challenges that they found growth, strength, and resilience. Family is not always a natural thing, but love can create a true family where each member can feel loved and be loved. Now, every meal in the Turner family is an occasion for everyone to sit together, reflect on the journey they've been through, and look towards the future with hope. They have together weathered many storms, but more importantly, they have learned to love and cherish each other and understand that nothing is more important than the feelings and connections between people. No matter how many challenges life may bring, the Turner family has proven that as long as there is love, nothing is insurmountable. In the warm light of the dining table lamp, the three children sat beside their adoptive parents, feeling like the luckiest people in the world. Because it was not only because this family had helped them grow up, but also because they had helped them find themselves. The love of the Turner family is all they need, and it will continue to nurture them in the years to come. New doors will open, and the three children know that no matter where they go, they will always carry in their hearts a family that is not just by blood, but a place where love and acceptance always exist.